Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi everyone, my name is Cara, and today we will be talking about flourishing in resonance, joint resilience building through music and motion, and this is a review article. So before we go any farther, we wanted to give credit to those who did all of the work and research. Everything we talk about today will not be our own original thoughts, but everything has been something that we've learned through this amazing review article. So because it is a rather long article, we wanted to give you an overview of what will be discussed. First, the main purpose of the article is to suggest that music and movement-based activities have a strong potential to build up children's resilience. So these are the four main subsections that the review article is broken up into. First, I will go over what the connection is between resilience and pneumonia. Then Nick will talk about music and movement's contribution to resilience building. Then I'll talk about how music and movement empower children, and Nick will finish up with the guiding principles for these activities. So first, it's very important to establish the key terms. These terms are used frequently throughout the review article and our presentation. So first we have resilience, which is an individual's ability to maintain a healthy, stable psychological functioning throughout difficult times. So this doesn't necessarily mean that this individual will never go through difficult experiences or never experience negative emotions, but rather that an individual is able to get through these difficult times and experience these difficult emotions without causing severe psychological dysfunction. Additionally, we also have eudaimonia, which is the state of human flourishing. So this is a rather nuanced term, which means that it's kind of different depending on which person is describing it. So this can refer to human potential, human productivity, human happiness, it kind of depends. And then lastly, these two terms reinforce one another. So resilience benefits from eudaimonia because an experience of positive human emotion can help an individual get through a difficult time. And similarly, eudaimonia can be helped by resilience because an individual needs to get through the difficult times in order to experience positive emotions. Next are protective factors. So these are specifically for children. These are resources that help promote resilience. So there's two major kinds. First, we have internal, which are influences that originate from within an individual. So these can be things such as self-control, emotional regulation, motivation, personal beliefs. And for children, these tend to be things that they can impact through their learning and training, um, which is very different from external protective factors, which originate from outside of an individual. And for children, these tend to be things that they can't control, such as their home environment, their family relationships, and the school system that they are put inside of. For children, there are two protective factors that are very important. First, we have the secure attachment with a pro-social individual, especially an adult, and then also satisfactory intellectual functioning. So in addition to protective factors, there are other components that can help build resiliency. These are things such as um, a connection to the community, having a purpose in life, um, feelings of motivation in difficult times. And these just help build up resiliency, but aren't quite protective factors. A lot of studies have shown that interventions can successfully build protective factors and resiliency components, especially in children. This is done with sport and art programs. So these individuals are getting training in either category, which helps build their feelings of competency and confidence and self-esteem. And while it's very common to have either a movement or sport-based program or an art-based program, very few combine both, which is part of what makes this article so important and meaningful.
Music and resilience. Research shows that engagement with music contributes to a flourishing life. Short term, listening to music gives you pleasure, and long term, it can give your daily life meaning and purpose. Music promotes engagement, meaning, sense of identity, and personal growth and social relatedness, and shows significant development of safer environments, especially in refugee camps. Engagement with music. So you can passively engage to music just by listening to music, and then you can actively engage to music by creating, playing, dancing, etc. Active music making may contribute more to eudaimonia through nurturing resilience. Active music making will intensify passive listening and also contribute to a sense of accomplishment and belonging. Music making builds a sense of belonging in a community, and for these such as refugees camps. Active engagement with music internally improves self-control, self-esteem, efficacy, responsibility, and externally it can improve social skills, pro-social behavior, building of relationships, feeling of inclusion, and increase in aspiration. Movement and resilience. Movement can increase quality of life, satisfaction, self-acceptance, and physical activity has been proven to be one of the most positive factors on a positive psychological well-being. Positive impacts of dance, per se, improve quality of life, social engagements, building of communities, and a body image and self-acceptance. And then another example is yoga, which can significantly improve symptoms of PTSD through promoting a deeper connection with the body and mind and enhancing of self-regulation and self-awareness. Internally, in external factors of movement, movement is a powerful form of expression and can enhance internal movements such as body ownership and agency while moving within a group. In a group, movement activities positively influence self-esteem, and movement synchrony is also another important factor of moving as a group, because that can promote self-trust and agency within these safe environments. And externally, movement synchrony promotes cooperative behavior and bonding within these groups and safer environments.
So next, we're going to talk about how music and movement can empower individuals. So studies have shown that this interaction with music is empowering for all individuals, not just children. This is something that is encouraged by the cognitive motivational loop. So the cognitive aspect of this interaction with music is an individual's ability to identify patterns in the music and then expressively interact with it through their own movement. And then the motivational aspect is the emotional and physiological arousal that an individual might have in respect to their pattern processing. So when an individual is able to use their cognition to find patterns in music and then move accordingly, this is something that is very rewarding, and likewise leads to positive emotional feelings, as well as an increase in heart rate or breathing rate as the emotional and physical arousal. There are three basic mechanisms that make this possible. First, we have prediction, which is an individual's ability to foresee where music is going and predict how the end movements are going to end up. For example, this is seen when an individual may hear a song for the first time, and yet they are able to begin to sing to the chorus of that song by the second or third time it comes around. This is because when an individual has been exposed to music in the past, and that individual learns from those experiences, and based on their already conceived understanding of this, they're able to predict that because choruses often repeat themselves, it's probably likely that this is going to happen again in this song, and so then they're able to sing along. Additionally, this is seen with movements. Commonly, when an individual may jump to music, they may consciously make that decision to jump up in the air, but then subconsciously they predict that they're not just going to remain suspended in the air, but land back down. So these are both examples of prediction in music. Then we have entrainment, which is the establishment of music's timing framework. This has to do with finding the beat, keeping the beat, and staying on beat. And then finally, we have alignment, which is the synchronization of an individual's physical movements to time markers in the music, such as beat and tempo. So in order to kind of get an idea of these things, I'm going to show you a video that has some examples of each. I want you to try to identify it on your own. It's a relatively short video, so I'm going to play it a couple times. So ways that we can see each of these mechanisms in the video. first with prediction. That individual predicted, either based on previous knowledge of that song or just of songs in general, that the song was building up to a drop. Um, that was why he was building up to those movements. So that is an example of prediction. And then with alignment and entrainment, these things are kind of associated very closely together in this video. That individual had used the timing framework of that song to predict when that was going to be, and then was planning on synchronizing his movements to that drop. And the reason why this was so unsatisfying for him is because his musical prediction was not actually accurate. And so this commonly leads to feelings of dissatisfaction in the individuals who experience it. So then lastly, I have the rewards of musical intervention. So these are true for everyone, but especially true for children. So as I was talking about before with the cognitive motivational loop, the ability to find these patterns in music and then move in synchrony to them is very rewarding to an individual, and so it empowers them. And this empowerment and reward lead to feelings of positive emotions, and these can help build an individual's sense of eudaimonia and resiliency. Additionally, when an individual is feeling empowered and rewarded by their ability to find the beat and the patterns in music and then move in synchrony to them, this help builds feelings of self-efficacy, confidence, and self-esteem, which are important internal protective factors for children. And then lastly, Nick touched on this before, but the ability of music to build human connections. And this is because when an individual is on their own able to find patterns and move to it, that leads to feelings of kind of independent reward, like I did that, I accomplished this. But when this is done in a group setting and multiple members of a group are able to find these patterns and move to it, it leads to this group sense of accomplishment. So no longer I did that, I accomplished that, but we did that, we accomplished that. And so this helps bond individuals to one another and helps build those human connections.
Yeah, so throughout this presentation, I hope we conveyed the benefits of what can come from combining music and movement and its support towards building resiliency. But to do this, however, careful consideration is needed when having vulnerable children partake in movement and musical-based activities. And so that's where these guiding principles come in. And so the first being is connect, and there's two main ways of connecting. First, you can connect to the children's social and cultural backgrounds, and they all have their own cultural experiences. And so this leads to a safer environment. And then you can jointly develop musical activities with the children. And doing this with the children, individual aspirations and needs are emerge. And then this is also a form of informal learning, which bases off of learner-initiated choices. And then the second one is exploration of individual expression through experimentation with expressive alignment and music of movement. This encourages exploration outside of their comfort zones within this safe environment, encourages solving of one's own problems. And the third is blend. Traditional boundaries are crossed and blurred continuously to enrich the children's musical experiences. An example of this is nature and music. And a good example of this is how a flute can imitate a songbird within a symphony. And the fourth being cooperate. Children engage in cooperation in a process of working together toward a common goal. This stimulates group interaction, participation, and individual sense-making, and helps build a tighter community. And the fifth and final one being sharing one's experiences through creative and movement-based musical activities. This is a pro-social act that helps develop mutual understanding and develop communication abilities. And with these guiding principles and movement and musical-based activities, they can greatly benefit all adults and children.
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you.